Welcome to the Unlocking with Ermi podcast. I'm Ermi, your host and guide into the world of spirit, intuition, and soulful insights. If you're here, you're likely looking to expand your spiritual journey, connect with loved ones on the other side, or just find some clarity and inspiration. Well, you're in the right place. In each episode, we'll explore powerful insights, dive into fascinating spiritual topics, and share real stories that open doors to new perspectives. Whether you're a seasoned spiritual seeker or just feeling curious, I'm here to make these connections accessible, relatable, and meaningful to you. So grab a cozy spot, open your heart, and let's get started. Hey guys, hey. All right, guys, we are back for another episode of the Unlocking with Ermi podcast. And you guys already know it's just me talking to a lot of my favorite big friends that are already doing their big thing in the communities that they're in. And also a lot of people are watching them and loving their energy as well. I definitely have a great friend of mine, Gemini. Oh my God. Gemini Goddess is here with us, you guys, today. She is an amazing, I don't want to say all the things. I want her to tell you guys all the things that she do, but I know for a fact that she is an amazing person, sweet, one of the sweetest people I've ever met, but one of the funniest people I've ever met as well. Go ahead, Gemini. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Let everybody know who you are.
You're so sweet. Well, I'm one of Ermi's big friends. I'm so happy to be here. I don't even know, how do I introduce myself? I am a psychic medium, a witch. I do readings for people. I do mentorship. I really, my pocket and my niche with people is helping people transition from organized religion and finding their own spirituality. Although I am a witch myself, not everybody that meets me aligns as a witch. They're just trying to find their own spirituality and their own journey. And so I really thrive kind of in that pocket of helping people discover themselves and really breaking out of limited mindsets and beliefs. I think that you can really believe in anything. There's so many different things. We're flying around space on a giant fucking rock, and whatever you have to believe, and harness energy. I think at the basis of every spirituality that I personally vibe with is you being in control and then figuring out what other natural energies around you can utilize to amplify your own energy and intention.
Oh my God, that is so amazing. It sounds like a lot, but I know that you are big energy already. So you're going to encompass a lot of this big energy already. I already know. I can just feel it, Jim. I feel it. Y'all gonna hear me call her Jim a lot because I just think that, we're friends like that and I could just shorten up her name. Her name is Jim, okay? Because she is a Jim to a lot of people. All right. So listen, okay. I want to talk about the your first connection with, because you say you're a witch, and a lot of people don't use that title or don't call themselves witch because again, it's considered to be taboo or a little bit, mostly taboo because again, what we have been indoctrinated to believe witches to be. So, what would be your first connection as connecting with magic or connection as a witch? What does that look like, or what was that for you?
That's a great question. Well, first of all, I started using the term witch when I started the Coven of Rejects podcast. And the reason that I really adapted that title is because there are a lot of people who want to label us, and it's really difficult to just be kind of one thing. And by labeling witch, it's understood as soon as you tell somebody that you're a witch, they're like, you're into natural healing, you're into crystals, and you're expanding your mind, right? Which is what I think of with witchcraft. I think that I was always doing things. I just didn't really have labels for things kind of until we hit the internet. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I need a way to kind of identify myself and people to identify me. I don't think that's important for everybody to do, but I do think that, I'm in the public eye, and I need people to be able to understand things about me with a simple word and terminology. So I think initially I was in touch with my mediumship and psychic abilities Um, and then that expanded into adding physical things into my craft, divination items like tarot cards and things like that. But at my root and my core was starting off with, strengthening my clairs and really harnessing that mediumship gift.
Mm-hmm.
I think that not everybody that identifies themselves as a witch is going to have those kinds of skills and gifts. And so it's like this really interesting thing, because when I'm describing myself to people, right? And they're like you asked, and it's like psychic, medium, teacher, educator, witch, content creator, podcast host times two, like I don't know.
Right. That's why I was saying, I'm like, you accomplished so much. You can do so, you've accomplished so many things. And it's like, okay, so what was your day? What do we call you? And I just like you as Gemini, Gemini who does all things, Jackie of all trades, I should say, within this space, this magical space. I definitely love that, you mentioned that, because I was going to ask you what came first. Was the mediumship or psychic abilities first, then you became the witch that you call yourself the, which one came first? So I'm glad you kind of mentioned that. So with you saying, with the psychism and connecting with spirits as a medium, what was that first experience like for you as a psychic medium? That first moment you realize, oh my God, I'm actually connected with spirit or connected with energies.
It wasn't until I was an adult that I understood what I was connecting with.
Mhm.
But I mean, and I've talked about this before. I think maybe in our mediumship class that we took, I had discussed this. I remember being a little kid in the back of my mom's car and like talking to me like very audibly and being like, "What, mom?" And she's like, "I wasn't talking to you." And I'm like, "You just had a full conversation. Like, I heard you say my name." Like, and so she would say, "That's God's voice. Like, that's God's voice talking to you." And so there were so many instances that happened and it was just normal, and I would be like, "Oh, that's God's voice." Okay. Which I never really thought about it till now. But if she was that certain of like, "Oh, that's God's voice," and like just played it off and it was a thing, it makes me wonder how many times she's heard quote unquote God's voice. But she completely doesn't believe in anything that I do.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so it's just very interesting. I think that a lot of people, and I know that you as a medium encounter this, I think so many people experience things and they rationalize it and they call it out. And that's why I know you and I have the same belief where we're like, literally everybody has the same ability to tap into the same frequencies. It's a matter of you harnessing and you strengthening that gift. Everybody can run.
Right.
Maybe like we need to figure out how to run and like get our bodies going and conditioned and trained and use those muscles, but we all have the ability to do it. You need a little like what's the word, like something like a reason. Sometimes you got to run from cops, sometimes like you got to run from a dog.
What activates that? What activates
Yeah,
you to acknowledge it? Yes.
not me saying running from the cops on your podcast.
But
Only a few things are going to make me run unconditioned, and it's running from the cops.
But I totally understood it because something had to activate it. What made you run? You running from the cops is one of the reasons why you ran, or
Yeah,
running from a dog, or running track. Like something activated it. So it's like, are you ready to do it or not? I'm glad that you
exactly.
mentioned that, and I'm glad you mentioned family because I definitely wanted to ask about that. How did your family view you, or how were you able to let them know that you were doing this, or did you say, "Hey guys, I'm doing this," and that's what it is, or somebody found out, like, "Oh my God, girl, what are you doing?" Like how or are you still a little bit in the spiritual closet? I know you're definitely not in the spiritual closet because I know I know you don't give a damn. Okay, but what does that look like for people? How did that come about for you?
So fortunately for me, I've never given a fuck. Not one single one. And I have always expressed myself, been myself, said my opinions and things. And I kind of have just always felt like either you're going to like me or you're not going to like me. And that really has absolutely zero to do with me.
Mhm.
And so I am very open and honest about the things that I believe in. And um, I have had family members who have asked me questions here or there, but I mean, I like to think of them as just being silent supporters because so many of my family doesn't say Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'm drinking an energy drink and I just had the hiccups.
You go ahead.
Um,
You good.
I'm like, it's nervous air pockets. So I haven't had, really too much like, back negativity or non-support of any kind. My mom is very much like she has listened to a couple podcast episodes and she's like, it's not really my thing, but like it's going great for you. I think they're supportive of the fact that I'm successful in something that I'm passionate about, regardless of if they believe the same things that I believe. Um, I've never felt like I'm being put on the spot to like prove myself,
Mhm.
which I think is extremely respectful for people to, you know, if somebody knows that they're not going to get something, then asking questions is just you kind of badgering somebody because you're not listening with the intent of understanding and learning. You're listening with the intent to judge what's being said and you make people uncomfortable.
Right.
I will say that one of the most surprising things to me is that I have an aunt who I've always considered to just be like just a pretty religious person, and she's pretty the way that I had seen her was just being kind of like rigid and structured and a bit closed minded.
Mhm.
And she's hilarious. She sends me witchcraft shows now. Like
Mhm.
she'll see an article on Facebook and she'll forward it over to me, or she'll send a text and that Agatha All Along on Disney came out. And so she sent me a text message and was like, "Oh my gosh, are you watching this? I'm gonna start watching this." And it's really interesting to me how, I think that so much fear that people have about being themselves and sharing themselves is from what they perceive is going to be happening
Mhm.
instead of what's actually going to be happening. Like I have, you know, over 100,000 people on social media alone that are like, wow, I support this, I support you, and podcast listeners supporting things. And so if somebody inside of my daily world that knows the ins and outs of me isn't going to support something, but people who don't know my core able to see truths about me, I think that says more about people who have the opportunity to be close to me than it does about me. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It really does. It does. And I'm glad you brought up Agatha Harkness because I was going to bring that up too because I'm like I love love Disney and Marvel, and I feel like I'm the Scarlet Witch. Nobody can tell me I don't harness that type of energy that Scarlet Witch does. But with watching Agatha All Along lately, it's just so eye-opening for a lot of people because again, it is viewed negatively, and to see everybody in their space, each witch doing their thing and what they're called to do, it just makes us. I feel like I could just tell everybody, just watch Agatha, watch that show, watch the show because it really is. What are your thoughts about that show? With that being out like that, what are your thoughts? From the past, because you know what, Gemini, you told me about Practical Magic, and I
I did.
finally watched it. And I was like, where has this movie been all my life? I needed this movie. This movie is amazing. I love that movie. I didn't realize I was gonna like it. I didn't even know until you told me about it. So it made me think like, oh my God, if I would have saw this movie, 10 years ago, would it have pushed me to where I am now versus me still, still trying to find my way and still trying to, have a better understanding of all of it because of 10 years ago, I was in the church or barely in the church,
Mhm.
so would it have changed the trajectory of my life, would it have made me start things sooner or um, delayed me from really stepping into this space. And I know you brought up Agatha, but I also want to also bring up the fact that, were you always like this as a young child? Like, I don't give a damn. So there's two different questions I asked already. Because it made me wonder, like, were you always like this? And your mom's like, oh my God, that's just Gemini. I'm not going to worry about it, or you just started to find your voice as you became a teenager and, not high school, but teenager to you are now. Like, when did that happen? When did that change for you? So two different questions. You can talk about Agatha since you um just
I'm
told.
going to start with the question about the upbringing, and then I'll get into the Agatha because
Okay.
I have so many different thoughts and opinions on
Okay.
TV witches.
Okay.
So starting growing up, yes, I have never given a fuck.
Okay.
This has heavily been a thing, to the point of here's the thing. I've never given a fuck and I've always been honest about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been my greatest benefit. Although like it kind of was shitty for my parents because growing up, I'm like, okay, so I know I'm grounded. I will not be home today after school. I'm going here. And they're like, but you're grounded. And I'm like, no, I definitely understand that I'm grounded. I just want you to know that I will not be home. I will be here.
I'm still
There's
gonna
a
do what
party
I want to
happening.
do.
Yeah, there is a party happening. There are boys. I will not be home.
Wow.
Um, and so, it's like, okay, well, she's doing whatever she wants to do, but she's being honest about it. And like, we know where she is, so it's like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, it just has morphed over the years. So it's just become, what do I not care about the opinions of others on? And when I say that, like, I don't give a fuck or I don't care, I don't care how what I believe in is perceived. But I care about the way that I make other people feel. I care about my morals. I care about the fact that my words and actions affect other people, and I try to be a very conscientious person about how my energy affects other people, and understanding that just because I don't give a fuck about the witchcraft things, whatever, doesn't mean that it doesn't make somebody else uncomfortable. And while I'm extremely happy being myself and comfortable being myself, I'm also aware of the fact that there's a time and a place.
Mm-hmm.
And for instance, like my daughter, she's my stepdaughter, she loves going to church with her mom, and that is something that she wants to do all of the time. And it's very clear that I'm a witch, and my house is decorated like a gothic castle, and it is what it is, and she's
Mm-hmm.
happy here. But I also, there's the same balance of like, when you're with us and you're not with your mom, if you want to go to church on Sunday, I'll drop you off and I'll pick you up. I'll
Right.
figure something out to do
Right.
for that hour in town so that you can have whatever you're needing. So I just want to make that clear, because there is a difference between you being a complete twat waffle
Right.
and thinking that your perspective is the only one that matters,
Exactly.
and showing up authentically as yourself. So I think it's responsibility of the way that you show up in the world, regardless of what you believe, is extremely important. After that long-winded thing, Agatha.
Yeah.
So I really like the actress who's playing Agatha. I think that if she wasn't playing her, I would be bored.
Mm.
Um, I, yeah, I
So you
don't,
say
I think,
you think that they're displaying them in a way that it shouldn't be viewed? Because I fell asleep on the last episode. I had to really watch it again because I told my husband I was so tired, and I was like, I gotta watch this again and then I saw like a few things that I was like, oh, I never thought about that, which I'll say after. But go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm only like 3 or 4 episodes in. Like, I haven't been binging it.
Oh.
I think it's super cute.
Mhm.
Um, I tend to align with, so like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the remake that got done.
Mhm.
I heavily aligned with that one because I'm just like, I like the darker aesthetic, but also because there is so much fact and
Mhm.
information that is shoved into that show. And it is very difficult for me to watch witchcraft things and feel super comfortable about it, because I feel like there's so much misinformation that gets put out about things, or whatever. So, like, the Agatha thing, the Witch's Road, like, that's not a fucking thing, right?
Right.
So
Right.
like, it's a really cute show,
Mhm.
and I don't know, I wouldn't let my kids watch it, because I think that there's things like, especially in the first couple episodes or the first episode, I'm like, wait, we're not letting children watch this, right? Like, why is this on Disney? Um,
It is on Disney, and they are. But I think when you get to episode 7, it's going to be like, oh,
mm,
because a lot of it was like, okay, they're going to a different house and they're getting a different, okay, okay. But when you get to this last episode, I was like, oh, okay, 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 okay. Because they bring tarot in it. And once
Okay.
they start to bring tarot in it, it does a lot of shifting and talk about understanding tarot and how people view tarot versus how Agatha viewed tarot. It's like, it's not real. It's not real. And he's like, no, this is, and so I was like, oh my God. And that brings me to think about the movie Tarot. The
I
guy
haven't seen it.
that, yeah, me either. And the guy that is the director or the creator of that movie said, "Oh, I don't even know about tarot cards. I just wanted to make a movie. So you didn't even do any research about it, but you made a movie, and then you made it to where it's such a feared thing." I said, "I'm not even going to." Spirit's like, "Don't even waste your time." I was like, I'm not. And then I went and dug a little bit more, and I'm like, oh, he don't even know why would you do that? Again, fear mongering, I feel. Another form of fear mongering, because again, tarot is just another divination tool. So I don't know, but I've definitely, Jim, push through. Okay. Push through, sis. Push through with Agatha. You might really like this most recent episode. This most recent episode was like, oh my God, yes. Now this starting to, tell some of the truth in this. Tell some, because again, Agatha was like, it's not, it's just a numbers game. It's not, and it's like, wait, ma'am. And so it kind of like revealed a little bit more. And it's like, but I also caught something else, which I'm not gonna say because I don't want to spoil it, but I caught something when I watched it with the mind and how it affects the mind, or how as you get older, what shifts happen in your mind. And it gave me a big aha moment with what happens now with people now. Again, I don't want to go too deep in that because I don't want to spoil it, but just text me when you watch the episode. Just text it to me and what you think. Okay, well, that's episode 7. Push through, friend. Push through. Push through. uh,
What's funny though is that when you like I said, I like things to be factual a bit, like to have I like good representation of things. Is I think everybody wants representation of who they are, what they believe, their values,
right.
whatever. But when you tell me to watch something with the intent of like, I want to know what your thought is about the way that they are portraying witchcraft, whatever, I will have to really pay attention because I find that I kind of numb
Mhm.
out on things, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be a purely enjoyment thing and not a, oh my gosh, I'm just so happy about the way that like you're portraying me or us.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I will watch the remaining episodes maybe with a little bit of a different
Mhm.
lens.
Yeah, yeah, I had to do that. I had to do that with Lucifer. I had to do that with a lot of different shows. I had to look at it differently. Like, okay, Spirit, what is it that I need to see in this that you want me to come and watch this again? Like, why didn't I get to, because again, when Lucifer came out, I was like, oh no, the devil? Oh no, we're not talking about it. That's that churchy stuff. But now that I'm watching it again, my husband's like, you should watch it. And I'm like, huh. See, now I never thought about that like that. So it gives me a different, it's kind of refreshing because again, spirit works mysterious ways, and things will be heightened for what you need to hear. I feel like things will stand out more. Like, okay, well, that part, don't worry about that part. Okay, yeah, that's a filler part. But Ermi, here, pay attention to that. Catch that. So a lot of the stuff does seem like entertainment, but it's like clues, it's like they have to present it out for us to see it, I guess, but they still
Yeah.
sweep a lot of the stuff under the rug. So we don't really, again, the conditioning, like, okay, it's another movie. Okay. And it's like, but there's some clues in there though. Like Spirit is saying this and pay attention to that. Like it's, I feel like it's certain clues. And it's like in my now, I can go back and, look at some of the things. Like I can watch Matrix 50 times and I would catch something new watching Matrix. I'm like, damn, I never caught that with the Oracle. How many
Fun
times
fact, I
I
cannot stand the Matrix.
but I'm just giving you an example of what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get you.
It's like I never caught that. Like, wait, what?
I think the Matrix is too real for my brain to be able to wrap itself around. And there are so many, and this might just be my personal opinion, but I think that there are so many things that are real that get put into movies and screenplays and things because they're designed to desensitize you to things. And that's just my personal
No,
opinion.
I agree 100%. That's exactly how I feel. I feel the same way because we're so used to just being entertainment. Oh, that's not real. That's not too real. And I just was talking to some people just now about voodoo and experiences that I've had as a child. And I was told, oh yeah, is this your imagination? But I'm like, but I'm seeing it though. Like I'm literally this way, a Makada is called a shapeshifter. And I'm learning about shapeshifters in different countries and different cultures, and they're called different things, but it's the same thing. It's like, oh my God. So that's where I'm having another level of, because I feel like there's a shift happening. I just literally said that today. There's something happening. Something happened in another realms. There's something happening. Spirit is doing something different, Gemini. I don't know what it is, but I hope you're ready for it, friend, because I'm getting ready. I'm getting
I
ready.
actually, my manager, Savannah, she just sent me something. Um, and I'm going to maybe not explain this the best way. So there may be a little bit of more research to do, but this woman made a video on TikTok and she was talking about how the way that they visualize energy in the realms is like a cake where we have different layers of the cake. And so each generation is working to get up to a different level of the cake and to kind of climb to a new level. And that in the last 2 weeks, we haven't reached a whole new layer and level of the cake, but everybody's energetic consciousness just went up a little bit. And she said that NASA had put something out saying that there were all of a sudden spiked energetic frequencies, and that the collective frequencies of our universe just changed, and they don't have an explanation for it. They don't know what happened, but they do know that's happening. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's also a whole lot of people leaving relationships right now, and people coming into new personal powers, and talking about therapy a lot and self-healing and growth. And I think that that's all correlated in with the higher level of consciousness and energy, and figuring out, what energetic field you're wanting to be on.
Oh my God. That's literally confirmation for what I was feeling. Literally confirmation. I went live literally saying, y'all don't feel that? Is it me? I'm like, because every time I go to sleep, and I even told my husband, I'm like, I don't even want to go back to sleep. That dream was wild, but I know that was not a dream. I felt like I was there. And last 3 nights, literally the same thing. And I'm like, this is familiar. I've been here before. So why am I back here? What's happening here? Because he told me, take control of your dreams. You forgot you can take control. I'm like, yes. And then the recent dream I had, I literally was like, okay, I'm done with this dream. I'm out. I don't want to do this no more because this is too real. It's not too real, but it's literally real because we're living, we're just in our houses, our little meat suits, and then going off to I consider the real realms. When we go to sleep, it's the real realm. So I definitely know that. And I agree with you on that shift. You might have to send me that video because I really want to dig in a little bit more on that. Because it makes so much sense, the layers of the cake. That makes so much sense.
Let me ask you before because I can see you looking at your notes for a next question. So
yeah,
let me
thought about it. Go ahead.
On a like a witchy perspective, are you doing anything that protects you before you go to sleep for when you are traveling through the astral realm?
I am actually in preparation of doing a major cleanse, a major protection bath. I'm preparing for a spiritual bath. But yes, when I do go to sleep, I always like speak over myself and then do little things. But I'm like, Spirit is like, no, you need to really get ready to do something different. Because a few months ago, I had a dream where I literally saw everybody's living and walking, but it's just one person just staring at me. And I'm like, I can see you staring at me, sir. Like, who are you? And it's nothing. I'm telepathically, he's saying, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna
Well,
wake up.
yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, here I am.
I was like, okay, I guess I'll wake up right now then. But he's like, you're not supposed to be here. What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. Mind you, people are just moving around me. And then I'm just like, I see him, tunnel vision, see him. And he's like looking at me and what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to wake up now. Like, wait. So yeah, I do need to probably increase it. I really felt like I need to increase it because of what's happening. So if you have suggestions, I'll take it.
I do. I always recommend that people have salt lamps next to their bed. Protection wards. I have a protection ward right here if you want me to show you one.
Sure.
You want me to show it to you?
Yeah. Okay. I do.
Let me grab it. It's just right here.
Okay. So I do have a salt lamp, but it's up here. So I'm gonna bring it downstairs to my bedroom. I never thought about that.
Okay. So this is the protection ward. And so it has a huge, thick selenite bar in it. You've got lavender and I believe it's rosemary. You've got cinnamon sticks. You've got I really want to say that this is black tourmaline, and then it's twined together. And I have a pentacle on mine. This one was actually created for me by a friend who sells them.
Okay.
But yeah, I heavily recommend those. And then also too, like something that I believe in is you should be only letting your unconscious mind roam inside of protected spaces, meaning that every layer of, I teach about this, so every layer of your world should have protection to it. So your property line should have a protection to it. The outside of your home should have a protection to it. Every single different room inside of your home should have its own protection to it. And then you almost go in layers of circle and until the focal point is you. So you have protection, your kids have protection, rooms have protection, home, whatever, car.
Mhm.
And specifically when you're going to be letting like your unconscious roam and your guard down, because inside your home you're letting your guard down, the biggest place that you do that is your bedroom. That's where like you, especially if like you have a spouse
Mhm.
or somebody that like, if you have a spouse that you feel safe with,
Mhm.
then you're usually completely letting your guard down at night and you're not paying attention to different things. And as a medium, I know that you're shutting yourself down when you're at home so that you're not having things wandering and picking up on things. So locking down that protection inside your bedroom and personal space, that salt lamp is going to give you earth to consistently be grounded to and to be taking energy and grounding that energy and purifying it. It will also help you with feeling really balanced and rested because it is taking so much of that energy. Not to mention that it also gives you a light too. So if you sleep in darkness, but you have a salt lamp,
Mhm.
then you always have a beacon and a way for you to find your way back home from the astral.
Mhm.
I personally believe, and this is just my own thing, but I personally believe that when people pass away in their sleep and people are like, oh, they passed away so peacefully in their sleep, I think something happened to them in the astral that they weren't able to bring their soul back from.
Mhm.
And that's my personal belief. So having a beacon in a way that you can come home to your physical body, I think is important.
I love that. I love that, Gemini, because I literally, everything you said, I've done or I have, but you said some things that I did not do, like my property line. I definitely need to do that. But I literally, not even, I swear, I promise you, when I was on the live, I literally said, I have selenite in all my kids' bedrooms. They carry it in their backpacks. I give them a crystal to carry with them in their backpacks. I have a big, huge tourmaline chunk that's at my desk. So when I go live, I'm like, okay, I have this candle, a ward enough candle, but I said, I think, and I literally said it as far as there's something shifting, there's a shift happening. I know that I need to increase the protection. So I was like, oh my God, you are tapped in. Me and you, we here. Cause literally, I was like, I need to increase it. You guys, y'all have to increase your protection because there's something happening. And I feel like, and you literally just gave me the answer to a lot of it. So I know a lot of people are definitely going to appreciate that. And I never saw that the piece that you put together, I never seen it in that way. But I do have I do have the selenite and I do have the tourmaline. And then you tied it up with the a pentagram.
Yeah, so it's twine, and the pentagram is just
Just to tie
um
it together to seal it.
yeah, yeah, just to steal it. And it is a it's just a charm. So you could technically put any charm. I find I really love having like pentacles and ravens or crows for protection. I think they're great. I think that for me, using crows or ravens really they're really loud and they get your attention and they're really sharp. And so I figure that if you work with that energy, then when something is coming into your space that you don't want, they're loud and they tell you. I also wanted to tell you too, I don't know if you put like oils and creams in your hair and stuff like that, but you can add in protection oil. And you can, it's called veiling. You can put protection oil in your hair to protect your crown or your kid's crown. I have my daughter do that. My son doesn't want anything in his hair, but my daughter does that. I put some in her shampoo bottle as well.
What's the age limit for that? Like, can it be a baby's hair? Can you put it in like not babies, but like a, a small child, they can have that veiling oil?
Yeah, you can make protection oil yourself. You can buy it from different shops. You know me, I'm a huge supporter of supporting people's small businesses and witchy shops. So I have a wide variety of shops that I recommend, but usually they have like a sweet almond oil base or some type of a base that is able for you to put on your skin. Of course, you want to always like check with the shop owner, but a majority of the time, ritual oils that are not baneful in nature, baneful being that they're, um, I think you know what baneful workings are.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually totally fine for the skin. And in fact, I very rarely use perfume. I usually use ritual oils, and
Mm-hmm.
I find them that are scented so that I can use them in a variety of different ways.
Hmm. Okay. All right. I definitely will amp that up because I literally have a good amount of that, but those extra pieces I needed to hear that because I definitely wanted to increase. So thank you for telling me that. And then you mentioned you work with crows, and that's what my next question was. Like, what other entities or energies do you work with your magic? Because I know when I did my spirit led, and you was working with your grandmother's energy, but is there like a deity that you work with as well, or I'm definitely interested in hearing what deities or entities you tend to work with the majority of your time.
I work a lot with Lilith.
Mm,
Um, I there are so many, and I there are so many different versions of Lilith and a lot of other goddesses. And so when somebody goes, and I say that because somebody could go and research, like, oh, what does, Lilith represent, whatever. It's going to be different for every individual person.
mm,
And so I really work with Lilith for certain things. I work with her on standing in my own power and not needing anybody else's validation for things.
mm,
And also being my own person and not needing to get validation from a partnership or something like that, because I think that we can get lost in that even when we're married. You are what makes you happy, what can I put aside to make sure that you
mhm,
feel fulfilled by these things. And then I also work with her for protection of children.
mhm,
There were a lot of things that started changing positively with my mothering connection and with things in my daughter's life. When I really started working with her on, like, I being the best mother that I can be, and having my kids be as close as possible. Not only did my stepdaughter move in here and she's with us, but then her mom moved from California and is here too, not in my home, but has
okay.
her own house nearby.
Yeah.
And we're able to completely like co-parent things and had so many healings to things. So definitely with Lilith. And um occasionally I will do some workings with the Morrigan. um I'm very goddess led. I tend to like not want a man to tell me shit about shit ever. Um so I really
Period.
aligned with female energy.
Period. I know my husband's already like, what are they talking about up there? Period. So yeah, that I love that. I love that. And it makes me think about Oshun and the different Haitian deities because I had a deity tell me you are looking in the wrong places for your connections. You don't need to look in African deities. Stop looking over there. Stop looking and digging. Because I really was like, let me research about Shango. Let me research about these different, and it led me to learn about more deities. Again, that's what he said. There's so many different ones, and I didn't even know that. Again, coming from those spaces, those church spaces, they don't tell us any of this stuff. It's just Jesus, and that's it. It's like, wait, but now I'm watching a voodoo ceremony and they're doing the same thing as I used to do in church. This looked very familiar. So now what energy is that I used to say, Jesus, Jesus, is that really, Hecate? Or is this, like what energy is that? Which deity is mounting? Because they call it mounting. Which energy is that? When I was in church, who was that then? Was that Ersley? Was that some Loire? Papa? Like, so still learning and understanding what that is. But that energy told me, stop looking in Stop looking in Africa. Your deities are literally here in Haiti or closer to you. So connect with those energies. You were going to say something. Go ahead. What you're going to say?
No, it was just interesting because while you were saying like, well, what was that I was connecting with in the church? I think that the difference between that church energy versus deity energy, regardless of if it is um, based in the entities that you're working with or whatever, is that when you're inside of church, you are worshiping a specific person and being, where and like you have Jesus in your mind and his physical person. You're representing that physical person on, if you're wearing the cross or whatever, and God needed a physical form for you to look at and worship, and that's where you got Jesus. When you're looking at these other energies, sure, you may have a physical representation of them, but you're working with them for the energy that they and the traits that they have that you are wanting to incorporate in your life in certain ways. So I think that's how religion should be intended, is like, that's the difference, right? Like if you are embodying the Holy Ghost and Jesus's, energy and spirit, you are treating people the way that he did because you are wanting to have this energy. If you are simply worshiping somebody because you are scared if you don't, well, then you're just thanking Beyonce at the Grammys so that you don't die.
Right. That's funny. That was good, but that makes so much sense. It does.
I'm here for the conspiracy. Thank you for Beyonce for bringing us together today. Everything that we have is owed to her. Thank you.
That's so true. Oh my God. So real. That is so real. Thank you for that because I know that shit is funny as hell because that is so real because people don't realize that they literally do that for real. So that's why I'm like, Jim, literally, you gonna ruffle some feathers with that one because
It's fine.
so be like, no, she didn't. I don't do that. Yes, you do, sis. You do. You do. You really do.
You do.
Funny. Oh my God. I do want to ask you, oh, I was trying to bring up that Shango was one of the male energies that came to me as well. So I had a lot of female energies, and I'm like, when you said the goddess energies are who you connect with, and then I had some male energy show up because I feel like in a few past lives I was men. I think I was men probably like 80% of the time in past lives versus me being a female energy, and I'm like, oh, okay, I choose to be a female again this time. I choose to harness this divine feminine energy this time. But even with my husband, I'm like, hey, listen, my guy, hey, listen, let me tell you something, dude. If I was like, can you take down some of that masculine energy down? But I'm like, this is me though. What's the issue?
It's like, listen, there's too much testosterone coming out of you. I need you to estrogen it out.
Down a little bit, Ermi. Bring it down a little bit. But I wanted to say, and I think you've already probably answered this already with a lot of the misconceptions of being a witch or being a medium. So for you, when people come to you, they'll say, "Oh my God, I didn't know that what do they usually come to tell you is a misconception that you have to dispel, or you have to say, okay, no, 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 that's not what it is, or you have to reteach to people that are interested in this because they're drawn to you. Your energy is drawing. Your energy is drawing. So it's like, girl, I didn't know that. I thought that witches always do, or oh my God, well, I was taught this. What was that for you? What was it something that you realized a lot of people don't realize that a lot of people have been saying the same thing about, uh-oh, I see your face. Oh Lord.
You lighting a healing candle incorrectly because you lit it with your fucking left hand instead of your right hand doesn't mean that you've like cursed your whole lineage. And the fact people have, that was an exaggeration,
Right.
but people have the most crazy misconception and thought about backlash that is going to happen to them for I did this wrong, I did that wrong. I think that there are ways that you can maybe I'll use spell work as an example. There are totally ways that you could improperly do a spell working. If you are using non-baneful things, like you're using, I'm just going to use random ingredients for example. You're using roses and lavender and rosemary and chrysanthemums and some oil or whatever. If you aren't clear with your incantation, or you get your blend wrong or something like that, your spell simply isn't going to work. That's what's going to happen out of that, is you're not going to have much of a result. Mm-hmm. But it's not going to come back to you, you know, threefold, tenfold, whatever. That's a fear tactic. I'm completely against the threefold rule, which is actually associated with Wicca. By the way, Wicca and witchcraft, not the same thing.
Oh.
Wicca is like the Christianity of witchcraft. It is a man-made religion. It is not, they do witchcraft in Wicca, but Wicca has their own specific beliefs, rituals, ways that they do things, programming, in my personal opinion. So I am not associated with Wicca. That is a huge one. And being called Wiccan, it's almost offensive. Because it's like, if you're going to educate yourself enough to throw out terminology, please educate yourself enough to know the terminology that you're throwing out and not put labels on people. It's like if I meet somebody who's a Christian and I go, "Oh, you're Mormon," you know, and then they're like, "I'm actually not Mormon." So there's that differentiation. You're very rarely going to cause harm to yourself unless when you were doing a working that had a good intention behind it. Mm-hmm. Now, if you are doing workings that are against other people, which, by the way, I don't have opinions on that. If you're somebody who is educated on it and you feel that for whatever reason you need to put energy towards somebody else, it's not my business. They could be a child molester for all I know, and go you, I hope their dick rots. So like, that's your personal business. That type of working, once you start getting into that, that's where, like, you better make sure that your P's and Q's are fucking tightened real quick. I don't educate on those types of practices. There are lots of practitioners who are open to that. I like to go where the light touches. And I think that nothing in my personal life has ever been benefited by me going after somebody and trying to get justice for something. I think that the universe, there's never been somebody who's treated me poorly that is living a wonderful life.
Right. I agree with that 100%. And then with the Wiccan and the witchcraft, it reminded me of like hoodoo versus voodoo. Yeah. You know, it does make me think that, because I just spoke to someone a couple of days ago about that is a hoodoo practitioner that does not do some of the things that voodoo does, but hoodoo was brought into the church. It was a pastor, a bishop, that created hoodoo because he was trying to hide the practices in the church. So that's why I didn't know that about Wiccan. So I'm glad you explained that, because I didn't even think about Wiccan when I was connecting with you and chat with you. I never even thought about that. So now I'm glad you educated me and all the people that's going to listen to this as well.
I have a question too, and you might be more educated on this. So my understanding, and it might be helpful for your listeners, the difference between hoodoo and voodoo. My understanding was that voodoo was the actual African practice. And then when slaves were brought over to the Americas, and also not just the United States, but they were also brought down like South America too, I believe. Mm-hmm. And so they had to start adapting their practices differently. And so they started incorporating things that had been being taught in the church with the things that they had grown up practicing, which was voodoo, and that created hoodoo. And so because there is Christianity associated inside of that practice, my understanding is that you have to be educated and initiated into it, but it's not a completely closed off practice. It can be discussed, whereas voodoo is the roots and the base of the African traditions, and is closed, which closed practice means that it is only available for people that were born into it. possibly initiated into it, but I don't know those specific details. But is that correct?
Yeah, that's literally similar to what it is. It's those that are in the voodoo religion, voodoo practice. It's a spiritualist thing. But I don't know about you being born into it, but I know that it's a lot of people that are interested in going into it, that's culturally connected, can be, can actually do voodoo. But I've seen some non-Haitians that are brought into it as well. So I don't know if it's like starting to become more open to whoever wants to come in, whoever wants to, whoever, if you're filled or you're being called to do it, I feel like go for it. So many different people may say, yeah, I practice voodoo and I do voodoo, but you can't join my crew. Versus other people that's like, oh my God, spirit is telling you to come on through. All right, well, come in, open arms. I'm ready to accept you and have you. Because I literally watch a voodoo ceremony where I'm looking at 7 different women. They're honoring, I want to say, one of the deities, I'm gonna just say. But then there's a Caucasian woman, a part of it, dancing and doing. I'm like, come on, yes. Because I feel like it's too much division, it's too much. Let me not, you don't have to be a part of this. You can't be a part of it. It's like, well, I mean, if spirit is pulling them to do it, then that must be in their lineage as well. Because who knows, 100 years ago, how much of the colonialism and all of that, that's still your bloodline. It's still somebody that's a part of your bloodline, so it may, the ancestor may be saying, hey, come through. This is a part of you too. Come on over here and connect in this way as well. So I don't limit spirit. And I feel like with spirit, spirit is spirit. So spirit, however you want to learn through, learn spirit, whatever divination or whatever religion or whatever cult that you want to be, you're still going to connect with spirit. It's just this time around, you're going to do it through witchcraft. Next time you may come through 21 divisions. The next time you may go through just voodoo. It's just, or next time you may be a shaman, but you're still connecting with spirit at the end of it all. I feel like, it being passed by is just getting watered down more and more because I feel like it's stronger when you go back to the root and get back to spirit. Always go back to spirit because spirit is going to tell you the real deal. This is what it is for you right now, Gemini. Teach the people this. As you connect with me and connect with the energies, and I'll show you another deity that you didn't even know existed because this is who you encompass. This is who you were in a past life. This is who you are now. So I feel like again, it's all just different ways to keep people divided. But when we all have that one mind, that Christ conscious mind or that universal mind, it's all still spirit. It's just which way you want to come to. Which costume did you want to wear this time? And what's your storyline this time? That's how I feel.
So I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I also think that, so a couple of different things. One, I think that people should educate themselves on these topics outside of social media,
Yep.
especially if you're on like the witch talk side of things, because there's a lot of misinformation that gets spread
Mhm.
around, and people put their feelings and egos into
Yeah.
education instead of educating from the point of view that you and I do, where we remove ourselves and we look at it from an eagle's eye view, and we're seeing everybody else's different things in their property lines. And then I also want to say that I do think that while things are rooted to connect you back to spirit, and that is the source of it all, I do think that when you're going to be working with energies or looking at certain practices, there are things to keep in mind. Like, I am not ignorant to the fact that I am a white woman who, like, I have zero chocolate in any side of I've done my ancestry. I can tell you I'm just a bunch of white shit from a bunch of places. And I'm telling you that like, I might be a soul sister, but like, that's as deep as it goes. There's no blood behind it.
He's so sister.
And, so, if I personally was to go and try and work with like hoodoo energies, right? I don't know what my ancestors have done to
Right.
other people's bloodlines or whatever. And although I may not be that way and I may be breaking out of patterns,
Mhm.
grudges can be held for various reasons and various things. And I think that to be uneducated and to start wandering into things that are not your business to wander into is something that I am strongly against.
I agree.
And that's where I think education and research goes so far into things. And absolutely, if you're on this spiritual journey and you have people in real life, like if I come to you and you're showing me things and connecting me with energies, and we're doing divination on like, is this my path, is this right to be, and we have this whole experience and whatever, and really connecting with those energies, and I am supposed to be there. My head is tingly. You
Mhm.
can't deny that.
Mhm.
But if I am just deciding that because I read a book and there was a hoodoo practitioner and I think that it's just so badass and I want to be a part of it, that is me taking somebody else's culture and magic and roots and deciding that I belong there and that I'm going to take that for my own, which just perpetuates that colonization mentality. And
Ooh,
so there is a way, if you're called to something, for
yes.
you to research and follow through on that and be educated by others in that.
Yep.
And if you're told this is not something that you should be connecting with, these guides, these ancestors, these whatevers don't want you to have anything to do with
Yep.
it, it is an ego thing that
Right.
you then think that you're entitled and you need to keep going. So I
Right.
think that
I
what we are saying, there's a lot of root in the like, yes, you're called to spirit, but also you may not be.
right. Yeah, yes. Definitely. That's exactly literally that's 100% absolutely. Because if you're being called and pulled in that way, then but I agree with you not to say, okay, this is my thing and I'm going to do it now and that's how it is because now I'm a voodoo priestess. Like, girl, you have no idea. You have no clue. You have no understanding. You have and it goes back to that layers of what you said about layers. It's layers to this too. It's layers. I'm not going to just go out and say, hey, I'm a medium today. Wait, girl, how many energies? Do you understand the different energies are here? Do you?
So, and that's the thing, right? It's like it's the equivalent as somebody saw a ghost, and so they go, "I'm a medium," and us being like, "Wait, hold up, bitch! Like I've been out here educating
Right.
myself and strengthening these gifts, and this, you are
Mhm.
spreading misinformation about this and making us all look bad because you want a title and you have audacity. I refuse to be an ignorant bitch."
That's the answer. You're intuitive, but I don't think you can take that title right now, sis. So you need to put some work in. Let's see how many energies you've spoken to. How many have you seen an energy take off somebody's head? Like, can you got that kind of evidence where you see somebody unalive them? Like, what kind of are you think? Okay, let me not go there because now I'm getting hot, Jim. So we're there, like sis. And I'm not looking to be certified or anything like that. I just know that I know what I know, and I put in some work to build on this and see. Oh my God, you know.
Uncertified, still paid and employed by myself. Kiss my grits.
Period. Like it still works. It's still happening. Spirit didn't give me a certificate, but Spirit said, "Bitch, you own it, bitch. You there. Come on, keep going. Tell
Anytime that
more."
I see in my life now that somebody has certified, I'm like, I won't fuck with you. And
Right.
not fuck with you in like the sense of like I'm nervous.
No.
I will never associate with you because
Yeah.
I think
It
you're
gives
ridiculous.
ego. Yeah. It does. It does. It does. I do want to ask you. I know we've been chatting for a while, and I
No,
know.
I have nothing but time for
Okay,
you, so
good.
please.
If you were to say no, I'm not gonna say if you were to, if your future self was to come to you right now and say, "Hey, Gemini, I am from the year 2054," and what would you ask your future self? What would you ask your future self? This is 2024, so 30 years from now, your future self come to you. What would you want to know?
I wouldn't ask anything. If I have a future self in 2054, the universe hasn't imploded. We haven't had crazy mass destruction. Everybody can calm the fuck down about the World War V fucking theory. And I would just be grateful that I had had another 30 years of growth and experience. And I know that if I am coming back to old versions of myself, then I have um I mean, in 30 years, if we have time machines to be able to come back, because 30 years isn't that long, I
Right.
know I'm a rich bitch. And I
Hello.
know that I have a time machine to be able to travel places. So I don't care about the future. I don't want to know. I know that I have been booked, busy, and thriving.
Period. Period. So it's like, okay, I don't want to know what I've done in the next 30 years. I just
No.
you're good, you look good, bitch. You here? Hello, how you doing? Thank you for coming. Okay, you can go back to the future.
No, because imagine I've actually put a lot of thought into this because imagine that you know where you're supposed to be in 30 years and the pressure that you put on yourself in order to be there, but also all of the lessons and blessings that you miss along the way because you're so focused on your destination point. There's going to be things that you don't learn, that you take for granted, and things that are important building steps for you to be able to get to that point that you're going to in the future. I know that I live my life with my highest sense of right. I prioritize my mental health. I put myself inside of situations where I am respected and cared for, in the same way that I do for other people. And I know that that's going to do nothing but bless me in the future. So I'm happy that, 2054 me is here and all the things, and I'm going to live life the way I'm going to live life, and appreciate everything I can along the way.
Okay, so if you had a superpower right now, what would that superpower be outside of what you do? Because I feel like everybody, connecting with spirit, I feel like that's a superpower already. Telepathy, I feel like. But what would you want? X-Men, you're a part of the X-Men and you have a superpower. What would the superpower be?
That's a good question. I think I would want to be able to reveal people's inner truths to themselves.
Ooh.
I think that I would want to be able to cause self-reflection to people. And I think that if everybody was able to have self-reflection and they were able to see themselves the way that the world is seeing themselves, it would either help with population control because they wouldn't like themselves and they would handle their business, or it would make people see all of the joy and love that they can bring to other people. And I think that would help heal a lot of things.
So big on healing. I'm just gonna say that, big on healing.
Yeah, big on healing. I think that, I mean, shit that happens in the world, right? Like if you were just on a healing journey and you self-reflected and were like, oh, the reason that I want to go to war over oil is because I have a fear mindset that I won't be the, wealthiest, richest, whatever, or I'm scared that my people will run out of this or run out of that. Imagine if every world leader had to self-reflect and think about the real reasons that they're doing things and put their conscience into play and work on healing. And yeah, I think it would be a huge thing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that for sure. What is the most rewarding thing since you've been doing this? Since you've stepped out and said, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this work. What has been the most rewarding? Who has reached out to you and said, girl, because of you, I decided to, or it's because you decided to do this that I am not able to, like, what is the most rewarding thing for you?
People who listen to the podcast or take mentorship with me and tell me that because of something that I have said or assisted with or whatever has expanded them on their own growth journey. And that's happened in a wide variety of ways. Some people's minds have been open to things and they realize that they had been in really like limited mindsets. I've had people leave toxic, abusive relationships. I've had people get back in touch with kids that they don't speak to anymore. I've had people who have found their own spirituality and joy because they didn't realize that they weren't going to be smited when they left the church and they were just scared and needed to see somebody else on their journey. I've seen people leave jobs because we talk about lack mindset and being where you're respected and trusting that the universe will take care of you. And I've seen them find their whole careers. I've seen people start businesses and work for themselves and leave corporate jobs that were paying them X amount of money because they started putting stock into their own, well, if you can do it and you can leave your job, I can do it and leave my job. So on a wide scale, hearing feedback about how literally just living my purpose and speaking my personal experiences and my own personal experiences has helped all of these people. I think that is just so crazy. Imagine the domino effect. And this is not an ego thing. This is just purely a healer's journey. Imagine the domino effect that happens for each individual person who does these things and then talks to one of their friends and helps one of those people do that, and that person helps one person. Like the amount of generational closed-mindedness and brainwashing that can be cured by you having an influence on one single person inside of your life, let alone us having this on so many people. And I know that for you too, like, you know, by you giving people messages through their mediumship and closing through their mediumship, or telling them like, you know, these things that you felt about this person in life that weren't confirmed to you, they're being confirmed in death. And I know that, you know, as a medium, sometimes we get told things that we don't want to be told, and there are like, oh, you thought that you had been assaulted when you were a kid by your grandpa, and you didn't know, you know, what the why you felt the way that you did, and you just thought that you were crazy and being mean, and that actually did happen to you, and that's validation for you, and go on that healing journey. Those are the things that people don't think about when they think about mediumship. They just think about like, oh, you're connecting with a dead person. The amount of information that we're told, the amount of healing that we give to other people by validating these versions of people. And this is I'm going on a little
Oh,
tangent
it's
and a
good.
rant.
Oh, it's good.
But when it comes to mediumship, the reason that readers like you and I go, don't tell me anything.
Right.
I want to jump into this reading. Please don't tell me anything, is because the energy that we're going to connect with is going to present themselves differently than that energy shows you or shows other people. And the example that I like to give is, you know, if you tell me that you want to connect with your grandmother because she was this sweet woman and blah, 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 and then I'm getting this like ornery, mean, fucking whatever person, I'm going to think that I have the wrong energy. No, you just had blinders on and you were being manipulated, and you had this soft person because they were hiding the fact that they were abusive and toxic and, you know, whatever else. And so, that type of like awareness and healing and stuff like that, I think that, you know, we get to provide to other people, and often those things go unnoticed, and it's, oh, you connect with dead people. Well, can you tell me if there's anybody around me right now? I fucking hate that.
That's so
Um,
annoying. I swear to
it's
God.
so annoying. Well, if that's the case, then how come you didn't tell me about my uncle who passed
Right.
away? Like, because your uncle is on very low frequencies,
Mhm.
and we're not dipping that far in the cesspool to pull him
Mm,
out. That's why.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. How about you connect with your uncle? Well, I got to connect with you. He wants you to connect with him. You want to connect with him so bad. You do it. You connect. That's my go-to all the time. You wait. What? No, you don't feel the energies around you. You don't see these energies around me. Do you see the energies around you? Stop asking me. Let's go back to you. Let's redirect some of this focus back to you. I'm quick to be
Well, and
like,
that's the like prove yourself mentality, right?
right,
Like,
right.
prove to me that you have a gift.
Exactly. Mm-mm. You prove it to me how you need to be able to do it. Don't come over here with that shit. We quick to go off, friend. I'm quick to go off, and I'm trying not to be that person that I'm not trying to be that person all the time. But when it happens, I needed to be it. Somebody can be the example, and then I show everybody. You see what I'm talking about? So don't come over here with that shit. Don't.
I would sell a sliver of my soul to see you go off, Ermi, because I ever seen you get angry or aggressive.
Oh
And
my
I've seen
God.
some shit that you and I have gone through together. And I have never seen you say a bad word about somebody
Wow. Mhm.
or anything.
Yeah, I'm not big. I'm not really
I
big on.
want to see you pulled out of pocket, but that's my toxic trait.
Well, yeah, I saw the lives. Everybody, it's a few people that were like, "Oh, don't get Ermi, Ermi, don't go there. Ermi, don't say that." I'm like, let me tell your ass something, bitch. Let me tell you. Come closer to your phone so I can go off on your. Like they know. If somebody put Leviticus in my chat one more time, let me tell you that you have not read Leviticus, bitch. You over here with Leviticus, but let me tell you also that you listen. I read for real, Gemini. I read. I go in. I'm sorry. But I'm also a super sweet, amazing person. I feel like we're here because I feel like you can go off too. That Gemini energy, that ain't there for nothing. You literally will snap a bitch off, head off, head off. But yeah, so yeah, you don't play around either, friend. You don't play around.
I had to really grow out of my feel like almost like a defense mechanism with like aggression, because when I first got on social media, I I felt the need to just let you know before you thought you were going to do something that I just wasn't the fucking one. And then I've just learned over time that like, no, I can be in my like softer
Oh
energy,
yeah.
and I can show up this way. And people can still know that I'm not the fucking one.
Right. And we see it. I see it. I see the nice, but I've seen where you like, okay, let me tell your ass off, and I've seen it where it's like, okay, Jim is really chilling right now. This is really, I feel like this is really truly Jim right now. But also, don't cross the lines. Do not cross the line. Don't cross the fence, bitch. Don't
Yeah.
crawl across don't get over my boundary because I know you see that boundary and you trying to push the fence down to get through my boundaries, and that's not gonna work today. How
Yeah.
about you have the life that you deserve? Because fuck with me, you don't know me for real. You don't know me for real.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 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 no.
You don't know me for real. I know we getting ready to wind down because I see the time, but I do want to say, if anybody that is new and doesn't know anything about witches or any like, what advice would you give somebody that is coming across this, and saying, "Wow, I never knew this," or "I'm interested," or just the, what word of advice would you give a new witch maybe,
Hmm.
um, that may see this?
Good question. I So first of all, if you are, I want to break this down in a couple different ways because, again, like you may be on your spiritual journey and not necessarily into the witchcraft things. Um, I first of all think that it's really important for you to find other people who are aligned in the same type of journey that you are. I think that mentors are completely underrated, and it is spiritual mentorship is huge. So whether it be myself, you're going to Ermi, you're going to somebody, find somebody who maybe you don't believe all the things that they believe, but they are open minded and willing to give you some direction on your path. Um, Books, I always recommend books. You can get, I mean, there's a book, and it's like the uh basic witchcraft guide to finding a coven or something like that. It's like the basic witch's guide. Um, just kind of books that you would think would be cheesy are really cool because it causes you to expand your mind. You won't believe everything that you read, but it causes you to expand your mind and your mindset. Listen to podcasts. You, even if, you just have it running and you're doing other things, you're subconsciously absorbing information. And I would say work first on healing through your mindset of fear and feeling like everything is going to have a negative course and action. If you are truly going into the universe with the intention of being your highest best and healing, you're going to be met with high vibrational energy, high vibrational people. It's not always going to be sunshines and unicorn farts. Like it is a difficult journey. Um, but I feel like start educating yourself and letting yourself learn without fear of negative repercussion. And I also want people to think about the fact of, there are people who still believe in God, in the same version of God that you grew up in the church. But instead of being concerned that that God is going to smite you down because you are exploring new things, I want you to think about, if you're going to worship or align with a God or an energy, you want to worship and align with a God and energy that's going to support you being the best version of yourself and spreading love and healing to other people. And take the messages that you've been given in your Bible that align with that energy versus the stuff to scare you. And I think it's also important to say that, like, if you're reading a King James version of the Bible, you're reading a version of the Bible that was written by somebody who literally wrote a book about doing witchcraft,
Yep.
and telling people how to do witchcraft while telling them not to utilize it. but King James was also utilizing seers and energy workers and psychics and mediums, and was extremely in touch with energy from the other side and all types of things. So before you're ever going to take the opinion of a man, or, whatever, educate yourself on the history of what you are believing. You're literally allowing a man from hundreds and hundreds of years ago to scare you into following his same closed-minded, rigid thinking. And it sounds probably really weird when you hear that, but it's really fucking true. And it's why a lot of us laugh at people who believe that, because it's the same theory as like it, in the 1700s when you couldn't show your actual nightgown or whatever because it was your nude body. If somebody was to say that now, you'd be like, go suck a Coke bottle.
Exactly. Girl, get your ass out of here.
Yeah, for real. So like, those are the things that I gotta say.
No, I love that. I love that. I definitely feel like a lot of people will resonate with that and be like, you know what? That is so true. Let me go read some other books. And I always say, don't just read the Bible, read other books. There's so many other books that's out there that all been inspired by the spirit to write. Somebody has been inspired to write it. So go read it. Go read
Yep.
it. What's in it? Because again, the Bible, they took out like 77 other books, but you can't take or add to the Bible. That's what they told y'all, but they did it. So that's another
And
conversation.
it's translated from another
Right.
language.
Yep.
And I have a hard time believing that King James knew this other language, but we're gonna,
Yeah, he was
have you
like,
noticed that nobody's ever like tapped into like King James energy or anything like that when
that's
they're
so
talking about mediumship?
true. Ooh.
They'll call on Aaron Carter real quick, but they won't do, you know, King James or
Girl, wait,
Yeshua or
nobody's
anybody.
connecting with Moses. Where's Moses? Can y'all connect to Moses energy?
Where the fuck is the ark? Where's Noah when you need him? Like,
Can somebody bring Noah in? Let's have a conversation about this art because you really brought two of everything. How did that work? They didn't tear each other apart. Girl, listen. That is so funny, but that is so real. I'm gonna have to bring that up now with my people. I gotta be like, hey, y'all never thought about channeling Queen Esther? These
I feel
people.
like I need to do a TikTok video about this when we're
Yes,
done
do it.
and plug the podcast and be like, listen,
I will be dying laughing, friend. I will be dying. This is so, so, so funny, but it's so real, so real. And I really, really want to thank you. Thank you for doing this for me. Thank you for coming on and connecting with me in this way and connecting with my audience that's on the way. They're here, I should say, because they've been waiting for this also. They're like, oh my God, you're gonna, yes, my girl, she coming back. I love her so much, Gemini. And I thank you for coming on my podcast. It's still kind of new, still my baby. But I'm glad you were also holding.
I'm fucking happy that you're finally doing this because you've been texting me for a year and a half. Like, I'm gonna need advice, and then you don't ask me shit. And so then when your assistant reached out, I was like, contact my manager, please. I have to do this. So then Savannah had messaged me and she's like, okay, so we got reached out to by these people. Like, is this something that you want to do? And I'm like, this is something that we have to do. So make it fit in the schedule.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, I know we had to do it a couple weeks ago, but the hurricanes, they wouldn't let us be great. But divine time, and I
No,
believe in.
it happened the way it needs to happen.
Yeah,
It's
we were supposed to be here today in this moment. I definitely want to thank you for coming on and blessing me with your presence and blessing the audience with your presence. And hopefully they all gain something from this episode. Um, can you let everybody know where you are, where they can find you, friend?
Yeah. And again, thank you so much for having me. You guys can go to my website. It's covenofrejects.com. And from there, you can head over to my Patreon if you're wanting to, which is patreon.com/covenofrejects. And then on social media platforms, I am Gemini_goddess420. And I'm going to tell you right now that as soon as you follow me, I have hundreds of random people who are everybody else except themselves, and they pretend to be me. And they will message you and they will say, Hello, beloved. The universe's energies have told me that you need a reading. And I'm going to tell you that I am a booked and busy bitch with a website. So why in the fuck would I message you independently to offer you a reading? Never would I ever.
Period.
Also, you have listened to me speak to you for how long has it been? A minute or an hour and a half? I can assure you that you don't think that the words "hello, my beloved" are going to come out of my mouth. So it's not me. Thank you.
Please understand, y'all know her tone. That would not be it, okay?
It would not be it.
Oh my God, this is so.
If I was going to message somebody privately, and I thought about this recently, like if I
Mhm.
was going to message somebody privately and like offer to give them a reading, my message would start with, "Hey bitch, thanks for following me. So some shit seems fucked up. And I was just wondering if you wanted to talk about it."
That's not right. Because for not $89,099, you're going to remove anything off of anybody for a small fee of no. That does not sound like Gemini at all. That don't even sound like me, okay? Because we
Never.
booked and busy, booked in at peace. I'm not gonna say booked and busy. We're booked in at peace. We love
Booked and at
that
peace.
peace. We love it.
Booked and grateful.
Booked and grateful. Hey, hello. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and end this episode, you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for hanging out. Leave a comment. Follow Gemini. Give her some love. Let her know you saw her on this podcast, to just let her know I love you, love you, love you, love you. Thank you for being on the podcast. Also, Gemini, I love you, friend.
I love you. Thank you so much for having me. I'll come back anytime you want.
All right, y'all. See y'all later. See y'all in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you find this episode helpful and inspiring. If you're feeling called to dive deeper into your spiritual journey, I'd love to support you. You can book a one-on-one session with me to get personalized guidance, or join my mediumship courses to connect with your own intuitive gifts. Head over to ermiesees.com to explore all of the options. Remember, your spiritual growth starts with a single step, and I'm here to walk with you every step of the way. Until next time, trust your intuition and stay connected.